Neither is quite sure they have him. If Netanyahu's choice of red tie was intentional, trademark Trump, well, it appeared to work. The president noticed. There is no question that these two have reshaped the Middle East this past year. But there is a question over what next, and what it means for Iran, for Lebanon, for Syria and for Gaza, where the ceasefire remains so fragile and stuck on phase one.
Well, we talked about Hamas and we talked about disarmament, and they're going to be given a very short period of time to disarm, and we'll see how that works out. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be in charge of that from our side, but if they don't disarm, as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then they'll be held to pay for them. And we don't want that.
The body of one hostage remains inside Gaza too, 24-year-old Israeli policeman Ran Gavili. His parents accompanied Netanyahu to Mar-a-Lago. Israel says phase two of the ceasefire, borders open, reconstruction, military withdrawal, none of that will happen until he's home and Hamas disarms. Netanyahu said almost nothing in this free-flowing news conference.
We've never had a friend, even close, a friend, as President Trump in the White House.
But then he didn't come here to speak. Yes, he does want Trump to focus on Iranian and Hezbollah rearmament, but he also came here for himself, ahead of a year when he hopes to be pardoned by the Israeli president for his corruption trial, and he hopes to be re-elected. So he came here for comments like this.
He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and he tells me it's on its way. Can't do better than that.
For what it's worth, there's nothing normal about an American president telling an Israeli president that he should pardon the country's prime minister. In Gaza, this is what President Trump's ceasefire looks like. With terrible weather, aid and shelter is desperately needed. The border remains closed and the Israeli military ever present.
I'm just looking at what your defense minister said, Israel Katz said, we are deep inside Gaza and we will never leave Gaza. That doesn't sound like you're holding up your end of the commitment.
We are actually holding up to our end of the agreement.
Well, you're not if you never leave Gaza.
The government is led by the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister speaks on behalf of the government. And the government have made clear that we are committed to President Trump's 20-point plan. But key to that plan is Hamas being disarmed.
And so broadly, it does feel like Netanyahu got what he came for here. He got Trump to say that it's all Hamas, not Israel, that's holding up progress on Gaza. He got Trump to say that he would hit Iran again if it rearms. And he got Trump to heap praise on him. Intriguingly, though, on settler violence and Israeli construction in the West Bank, there was divergence. Trump concerned about that. And that's significant. And so another convoy rolls on, the conclusion of another day of Trump's Floridian diplomacy. Mark Stone, Sky News in Palm Beach.
Well, before meeting Mr. Netanyahu, Donald Trump had what was described as a positive phone call with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. But Mr. Trump was later drawn to respond to claims from the Kremlin that Ukraine had tried to attack the Russian leader's residence, a claim dismissed by President Zelensky as a lie, but described by the US president as not good. Here's our international correspondent, John Sparks.
It is an extraordinary assertion, a claim about a Ukrainian attack that could destroy the peace process. Senior Russian officials say Ukraine launched 91 long-distance drones at one of Vladimir Putin's homes. No evidence has been provided, but the Kremlin says its negotiating position will change. These the words of the Russian foreign minister.
Данная акция была совершена в ходе интенсивных переговоров между Россией и США по урегулированию украинского конфликта. Подобные безрассудные действия не останутся без ответа.
Russia's determination to fight is plain to see. Addressing his generals in Moscow, Vladimir Putin sounded like a man bent on victory. The liberation of Donbass and Kherson is being carried out in stages, in accordance with the plan, he said. Troops are confidently advancing. They are breaking through enemy defenses. Something of a contrast, this, with the mood in Florida, where President Trump invited Volodymyr Zelensky for peace talks. And the Ukrainian leader, for one, looked happy to be there. Reflecting an increasingly difficult position on the battlefield, the Ukrainians are prepared to make compromises, and both men seemed happy with the results.
Our meeting was excellent. We covered, somebody would say 95%, I don't know what percent, but we have made a lot of progress.
We had a really great discussions on all the topics, and we appreciate the progress that was made by American and Ukrainian teams.
But there's one issue here that's particularly difficult to solve, Russia's claim on the region of Donbass.
The word agreed is too strong. I would say not agreed, but we're getting closer to an agreement on that.
Zelensky can't sign away his own territory. The Ukrainian public won't accept it, a point that Trump seemed to understand. Later, Zelensky made the point on American television.
It will be big risks for Ukraine, not acceptable by Ukrainians, but they will, just personally, and referendum will not be positive.
The trip to Trump's winter residence, something of a success for Zelensky and co. The Americans have listened and engaged, and that's a problem for the Russians.
The Ukrainian and American positions grew closer. That's a problem for Putin because he does not want an end to the war. So that's why you've got this story today that the Russians claim Ukraine tried to bomb Putin's residence. I expected Russia to find some reason not to say yes to the proposals coming from the U.S.-Ukraine talks in Mar-a-Lago. This seems to be the ploy they're using.
Whether or not it's a ploy, the war goes on. And from the window of a tower block in Kyiv, the prospect of a peace settlement doesn't seem very realistic. Trump said he didn't like the sound of an attack on Putin's residence, but that's something Ukrainians live with every single day. John Sparks, Sky News.